And if you're watching live, checking us out on YouTube, or listening on your favorite podcast provider, you are most definitely my people. Welcome to another episode of Botched and Chair Shots. We still have high hopes of delivering quality wrestling content, and if not, we'll sprinkle in Vince and Yellow Shoe Guy and Allison. You know, so we still get over. I'm your host, a chef by trade and mark by choice. I am the Will Gray, and I'm so hyped for tonight's journey. Tonight, joining us is the host of the Straight Talk podcast. He is co-host of the #1 podcast on Pornhub. He is the official 2022 Pornhub Papi, but most importantly, he's the word of my heart, Vince Daddy Delgado. Vince, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well. Aquí estoy. Daddy's home. Daddy's at the Botched Chair Shot studio. I'm ready to get talking on some wrestling, man. Glad for the invite.
Dude, I'm hyped to have you. I always am. Joining us also is the man who comes with his own disclaimer, and that is the opinions of the Yellow Shoe Guy are his and his alone and do not reflect those of Rivet City Radio or Botched and Chair Shots. He is the Yellow Shoe Guy, Bobby Mack. Bobby, how are you?
I'm a little upset right now. Wait a second. You guys have a studio and you didn't invite me?
You've known we've had a studio. We've had a studio.
Well, the studio is...
And you three are together?
Well, the studio is Will's apartment. So I like to say that he's the Botched Spots because he has like the banner in the background. So I like to think that's the studio.
Gotcha. And he's never invited.
We're the ones remotely.
See, Vince is actually in the bathroom right now. He's downstairs. We just made it look like we just draped something over the toilet. He's actually downstairs.
Yeah, we were somehow able to like fit this full-size bed in here somehow. Very roomy in this bathroom. About to get done.
And joining us, perched upon her iron throne in the boss bitch's corner, she is the Beyonce to my Hova. She is the Bonnie to my Clyde. She is the brains behind the operation. The boss bitch, Miss Allison Siegel. Allison, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Happy Vince is here. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. It's going to be fun. It's a good episode.
I hope so, man. I hope so. Just because I saw that you had both Katie and Matt on the weekend show where you're talking horror movies. Granted, I can't add much to it because I'm not too much of a horror movie buff. So I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad I'm not down in the standings because last year in 2022, my attendance record at Botched Spots of my guest appearances were very low compared to them, and I'm trying to win them. I'm trying to one up them this year.
You're gonna beat them in the Botched Spots and Chair Shot standings.
Yes, in the standings. Yes, I want to have the #1 seed this year.
You got my vote already, Vince.
I appreciate it, Bobby. Thank you.
You'll get them. Okay.
I gotta believe.
So, I always start the same way every time. I'm going to go second to last. I know Allison's is going to go for last because hers is going to lead into news and rumors. So that leaves us to you, Mr. Yellow Shoe Guy, and you, Vince, as to what has you pissed off for greatness? What has you the most upset this week in the world of professional wrestling? Who's going to go first? Vince, you want to go? You got one ready?
Well, I can regurgitate because you know exactly what has me pissed off for greatness. It's AEW booking, and mostly the booking of the Elite. I had a little rant. You guys were there for it on this past Smackin Raw episode, and I'm just kind of sick and tired of like the Elite always getting the championships. Like these booking of my favorite wrestlers. Like we talked about it with like with the Acclaim being booked against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Like they always do this where they book someone against someone else, and then they just like take away their heat. Like they're kind of doing it right. They did it a little bit with Hikaru Shida when they abruptly turned her heel because apparently she couldn't sit with Soraya and Tony Storm, to quote Mean Girls. So that's mostly what I'm pissed off about. I'm pissed off that now I'm not watching AEW. I'm boycotting AEW because of Tony Khan, because of the Elite, because they went ahead and super kicked the Papi and super kicked CM Punk's door down, and now they get rewarded with the tag titles after they lost the initial match. So you know, favoritism there. So that's what has me pissed off for greatness. It's the booking of AEW, and until the Elite lose those trio titles, I will not be watching. I am boycotting. That's how pissed off I am.
I don't disagree. I feel like when I saw your rant the other night, by the way, if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, go back Go to Creatia World, pretty much anywhere you go on the internet, and find last Friday's episode of Smackin' It Raw. It was literally chatgasm, and Vince went on the tirade of all tirades. So I'm full on plugging somebody else's show right now to go listen to what this man had to say. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Mr. Shoe Guy, what has you pissed off for greatness this week in professional wrestling?
I'm so I get more and more upset when people are insulting the fact that Vince McMahon is back and that he's going to ruin pro wrestling, when the fact is they wouldn't know what pro wrestling was if it wasn't for Vince McMahon in the first place. Like, I get that that he, might be 80 years old or 78 years old and he might be quote unquote out of touch, but is he more out of touch than his 20-year-old writers that have only wrote for TVs and like that kind of situation comedy? So I give Vince a chance, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, the guy's back. Like, he's not going to ruin wrestling. He's made wrestling number one for 30, 40 years. He's not going to do anything worse than what Tony Khan has been doing, like Vince said, by putting a bunch of what is it, the
elitists.
Yeah, with the elitists running it. Like, the lunatics are running the asylum over there. And Vince, I don't think Vince is any more loony than what those VPs are.
I feel like I've written an article of something about the inmates running the asylum. Yeah, but I mean, I don't think Vince McMahon in any way, shape, or form, in any capacity, is good for wrestling. So I'll just go ahead and say that. I feel like that's a pretty fair statement.
How is he not good for wrestling? He created Hulkamania. He created Bret Hart stuff. He created Shawn Michaels DX.
I'll make an analogy with basketball, Bobby.
Okay.
Michael Jordan is arguably the greatest, if not one of the greatest basketball players of all time. As a general manager in this team, in this point in time, whether it was with the Wizards or currently with the Charlotte Hornets, he has not lived up to that same level of greatness. And like right now, Vince McMahon is not pissed off for greatness. He's pissed off for mediocrity, because like in his run before he got removed or before he retired, like the product wasn't terrible, but it wasn't at its best. There hasn't been too much like changes in terms of like the overall product. There's been tinkering, but I would say like his presence right now just like turns people off, and that's what it is. It's not even like something he's actively doing. I would say just his presence is actively turning people off away from the product. And as a businessman, you should recognize yourself to be like, okay, maybe I should take a step back. At least give Triple H a full year to work on this. You can't like be like, okay, I'm gonna give you the keys to the kingdom, run it your way, and then come back. I'm like, actually, never mind, I'm gonna come back and do it my way. Because there's been nothing but positive feedback recently. The only thing that they could really negatively say about Triple H's run so far is that he's been bringing too many people back, and not too many of them have made significant impacts in their returns. But you give him some time. Obviously, you have Prison Dom now. You have you have the Bloodline. You have Becky Lynch back. Shawn Michaels is doing his thing in NXT. If I'm Vince McMahon, you just have to know when to walk away. The great Kobe Bryant could continue playing basketball if he wanted to, but he didn't because he knew he just didn't want to. Like, I feel like Vince needs to go ahead and enjoy retirement. Like, I'm not saying he didn't do anything great for wrestling. He has. He's done so many amazing things. WrestleMania, just to name a few. But I think he should take a step back. I think it should be like, I think it's a detriment to the product because he's souring people to the product. That's the main reason for me. It's like just your presence alone, even if you're not doing anything negatively, creatively, which you may or may not, people's opinions are their own. But it's obvious that the public opinion for Vince right now is at its all-time lowest. So I say you take a step back until like you get inducted into the Hall of Fame or something.
Right, like it almost sounds like it's comparable, like to remember when Jay Leno gave up the Tonight Show and Conan took over. Jay came back, disrupted, but then, in my opinion, we got one of the greatest hosts of the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon a couple years.
Jimmy Fallon's great.
Yeah, so it's almost like is Vince coming in? Did he leave too early? Like Jay thought he left too early, And is he going to introduce the next great thing with either the sell of this company or whatever's going to happen with this company next?
I feel like we've started to see the evolution of what WWE could look like without Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you bring him in now at this point, all you're going to do is disrupt that evolution. We're just now getting to a point where we're seeing, I guess the best way to put it would be a breath of fresh air with the company. We haven't seen one in such a long time.
Right. Would that be a play on words with Triple H with Evolution?
I would. Yeah.
Well,
we can do that.
like Triple H once said, one day you're gonna wake up and Evolution has passed you by, and like Vince, Evolution's passed you by. You need to leave it to Triple H, because like you're saying, Will, we haven't even taken off. We're still on the runway of this Triple H regime. I think you still need to give it a time. Give him his own WrestleMania. Let him book this stuff, because he didn't get into like SummerSlam, right? But even that was just him like booking the winners and not actually booking the card. He didn't get full creative control until I think Clash of the Castle, if I'm not mistaken.
Another play on words: regime and the possible sale to Saudi Arabia.
I don't think that's actually going to happen. I don't think he's actually going to sell to the Saudis.
I agree.
I hope not. I mean, I likened it again. I think I talked about it last week when UT hired Greg Schiano as the head coach, and then the fan base collectively shit themselves, and then they fired him like 2 days later. So I think that was kind of them going, oh shit, maybe the Saudis aren't a viable option for us to sell to, and it just kind of leaked, unfortunately for them, but it kind of worked in their favor because now they know what the uproar would be like.
Well, if you believe conspiracy theorists, there's many out there that believe that people within WWE leaked it on purpose so that they can prove to Vince McMahon and the rest of the boards, like, see, there would be an uproar if we sell to the Saudis. That should not be an option. Just to prove their point, they leaked it on purpose. So there could be that.
All right. Well, this is the episode where we send it up to Allison, and she has a... Did I miss somebody?
Yourself.
Yeah, you missed you and Allison.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I did forget myself. Well, I was going to send it up to her for hers and then start news and rumors, but I forgot mine. I had a big, long one, and it was a big, long spiel, and it was written out. And originally it had to do with a topic we're going to get into in news and rumors. But I think I'm going to forego mine now, because as I've cooled off in my old age and had a second to breathe, I don't think this is the time or the place for that rant. So I'm going to go, no, I'm good. I've had a pretty low-key week. I've gotten out some good content. I've lined up some good interviews, so I'm okay. I'm going to say...
You look very comfortable as well, by the way, with the sweater and the scarf. You look like you're just missing a hot cocoa with some marshmallows on top.
Dude, I've even got a V-neck on, bro. Like,
you don't want to stand up and walk away, Will?
Oh man, yeah. Do a little catwalk, man.
Do we want to talk about that right now, Bobby?
Vince, man, you missed it. I got him so mad a couple days ago on TikTok. He stood up, turned off his TikTok, walked away.
No, what he did was gaslight me to the point that I threw my headset off and walked out of the stream because I was done dealing with him. And anybody in the chat that knows who this guy is will understand why that happened.
Bobby,
I had to look up the word gaslight.
He did. He Googled what gaslighting was live on air.
Oh my god. Okay, well that's not what I meant. I thought I wanted you stand up to get like a full body image and then like get a little catwalk going. That was my personal.
Well, Vince, I'm gonna be completely honest, sir. I only look this good from the waist up.
and you can ask any guys in that area, and they will all tell you the same.
I mean, as soon as I get out of the bathroom, I'll take a look.
Oh, you'll know. By the time you get back upstairs, I won't even have the cardigan on. It'll be nothing but the scarf.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Sorry for those of you listening on TikTok.
Cage my IQ. I have a feeling that this topic is about to come up. Allison, what has you pissed off for greatness this week in the world of pro wrestling?
So, this is my Pissed Off for Greatness, and it is also my first news and rumors. Fuck you, Time Warner. Literally, fuck you. Like, I cannot believe that they would not put aside the small, like, stupid pettiness, I'm gonna call it pettiness at this point, and let AEW do a tribute to Jay Briscoe. Like, what the actual fuck? You fucked up. Like, that is beyond awful. Yep.
Go off, Allison. Go on.
Yep.
Well, all right. I'll time mark that one. Do either of you want to go off? Do either of you have anything to say about the Time Warner thing? Ultimately, the gist of it is the logistics behind it were that Tony Khan wanted to do some sort of tribute to Jay Briscoe during last night's Dynamite, and they said, no, you can't do it on our TV time, which has led to Tony Khan filming his own Jay Briscoe memorial that will be on Honor Club, which is supposed to be scheduled to go out on there and YouTube in the next week or so, I think. What do you guys think about Time Warner and Discovery being like, nope, not today?
One is, I'd like to see who the source is, because I've not seen an official comment from Time Warner. I haven't seen their spokesperson. I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but we all know news and rumors on the internet and, from WWE, AEW. Is this really true? Or was AEW not prepared to do this, which I would think would be shame on AEW, because, you could say, oh, what happened so quickly?
No, they filmed it last night. After Dynamite.
Right, but is there an actual press release from TBS Time Warner, is what I'm saying. Because I haven't seen a press release from TBS Time Warner. I've seen Dave Meltzer and the Dirt Sheet say stuff. But
well, I don't think Time Warner is going to release anything anytime soon. And two, I don't want to sit here and speculate that AEW wasn't ready, because they recorded after Dynamite, so obviously they were ready to go and to do that tribute for Jay Briscoe. Plus, it happened the night prior, so we've seen tributes take place that same day and be ready to go. And it doesn't have to be anything over the top. It could just be something heartwarming and sentimental that honors Jay Briscoe and the Briscoe brothers. But yeah, no, I think it was just one of those things where Tony Khan was just kind of cock-blocked right there. He just couldn't really do what he wanted to do. And unfortunately, this is their cable network. They're allowed to say what they can and cannot be on their screen, whether I agree with it or not. So, I mean, they're within their legal rights to say no, not to this. But I don't agree that they should have, because, like the chat mentioned, like Bakley mentioned, like Dana White can go out here and slap people and promote that shit. But Jay Briscoe, no, not that. They're picking and choosing. They're picking and choosing.
Like, we've definitely lost our way if that slap thing can get on TV, and Jay Briscoe, because he made a comment 20 years ago on a social media network, can't get an honor. But again, I want proof that TBS actually said, hey, you know what? We told AEW they can't do it.
Cage My IQ said Tony Khan made a comment on Twitter stating that since they weren't allowed to do anything on Dynamite, they were recording a tribute afterwards. He even flew in talent last minute to make it happen.
Yeah, so I think that's all confirmation I need, because Tony Khan wouldn't say that. He wouldn't just like throw Time Warner under the bus just to make himself like look good. Like, I don't care how much crack he like how much cocaine he did that night. Now, man, like, I'm just glad they were able to do something, because even NXT, they did an acknowledgement on NXT, and they nixed the whole like memorial service for the Pretty Deadly's tag team title opportunity that they found to be tasteful given the news. So both New Day and HBK scrapped it and just did like the little like mentioning for Jay Briscoe instead. So the WWE, I don't see them doing anything, because obviously he never wrestled there. So, but I feel like AEW should do something, given that Tony Khan's the new owner of Ring of Honor. So it's only right.
So I'm on Tony Khan's Twitter. I'm not seeing any comment from him that confirms TBS told him not to do it.
he made a comment. I don't know if it's a direct tweet that he put or a comment back, but I know that it was said. Not that they weren't allowed to, that they weren't. All he said is they weren't able to. But there's enough news sources that have reported that Time Warner said no that I'm pretty sure it's true.
So just devil's advocate, though, is how many people said WWE got sold to Saudi Arabia?
I mean, you're not wrong, but in this case, this isn't one of those situations where we want to argue semantics about this kind of a thing, about who said what and when. Tony wasn't the one that was directly quoted. What the Meltzer comment said was that sources close to the situation said that Time Warner nixed a Jay Briscoe tribute last night on Dynamite. So Tony Khan went a different direction with his plan. That's what the kind of feel for it was. Nobody said any names directly at Time Warner. It was just a blanket statement. That's all.
Yeah. And then we can just kind of like put the pieces together at that point, because it wasn't a case that they weren't ready, Bobby, because obviously he flew in talent last minute and they actually recorded it after Dynamite. So they were ready to do it. The only reason they wouldn't do it is if the network wouldn't let them do it. So, at that point, you just kind of have to put like 2 and 2 together. Like, yes, we're making assumptions, but these are educated guesses, fair assumptions, I feel like.
Right. And when I say not ready, like I'm flying in talent. Yeah. That's I think the easy part, maybe going through that ROH library and picking out the videos to show and the matches to show and stuff like that. That's kind of where like I was more going with it. Because WWE, obviously, they're organized with all that kind of stuff. Like the Chris Benoit thing happened, and 12 hours later, we had the Chris Benoit tribute on Raw with some of his greatest matches from Japan, from Mexico, ECW, everything else. I'm just saying maybe AEW wasn't as prepared to be able to go through that ROH library. And again, you've got a 40-year-old company that's been putting this stuff together for 40 years, and then you got a 4-year-old company that just inherited a company that has got 10 years to 12 years of footage.
Yeah, but even so, even still, it's still a 24-hour process. Like, even if they don't get all his best highlights, I'm sure that there is some that like notable moments in Jay Briscoe and the Briscoe brothers ROH career that they can be like, okay, well, let's look for this specifically. They don't have to sit there and look through his entire career. They just have to remember certain, like, I don't have to sit through Eddie Guerrero's entire career, but I can list off a bunch of famous moments and then just look for it in the archive. Like, if I had the old WWE network before Peacock, I could do it myself.
Right.
It's not rocket science. It's not too hard. They had 24 hours. They have a team. They could probably sit there for like 8 hours straight and like just scour through stuff and put it together. I've seen stuff being put together within hours. So I don't think it's that, unfortunately.
They can cut an entire 3-hour Raw and then put it into a 60-second highlight reel by the end of the episode. So I don't feel like...
There you go. Thank you.
I don't think it's a thing. I don't think they would be leaked so that AEW could cover up the fact they weren't ready. I agree with what Vince said. They had 3 Ring of Honor titles on the line for the Jay Briscoe tribute show. So it kind of showed us across the board that they wanted to take this seriously, and somebody higher than Tony Khan said, no, we're not going to do it.
So Katie sent me a tweet from Tony last night. Thank you, Katie. In addition to matches filmed tonight for the first celebration of Jay Briscoe's life, the first tribute will show and include people talking about their experiences, classic messages from Jay Briscoe's legendary career, coming soon to ROH YouTube and YouTube Plus, free on Honor Club.
Yeah, they're going to do everything free on their YouTube channel and whoever does the Honor stuff. So I did hear that, but again, I'm just, devil's advocate. I'm just saying nothing really points to TBS other than the rumor mill of the wrestling networks in the wrestling podcast world.
If you check the chat, Matt saw here saying that the reason the Briscoes versus FTR never happened in AEW TV was because the Briscoes were banned from TV, presumably by Time Warner, and he continues to add due to comments made in the past from his understanding. So if he wasn't allowed to wrestle on the company, because I never saw the Briscoes wrestle on AEW
They
TV.
weren't allowed.
No, they never did.
They weren't allowed to. So if the Briscoes aren't allowed to wrestle on TV, they're definitely not gonna get the permission to let them do a tribute show to talent that weren't allowed to be on television when they were here. So, like, you can play devil's advocate all you want, honestly, but the writing's on the wall. You know, you just gotta read it.
And like, no, like I know people don't like Dave Meltzer, but like, I will give him that. Like, he's not gonna put something out like that is blatantly false. He knows better, unlike some other journalists.
WWE
But I mean, like,
got
he
sold
knows
to
better.
Saudi Arabia.
He did
Listen.
not say that.
That was Sean Ross Sapp.
Yeah, that was not Meltzer.
Meltzer never said anything. But I will say this: I don't approve of Alka-Seltzer Dave. But when it comes to AEW stuff, he's probably the most reliable source because like he's probably getting in, like direct line details from either the Elites, Tony Khan, or anyone else in that company. He's probably getting first-hand sources, information. So if there's anywhere that I actually do listen to what this man's saying, it's probably when it comes to AEW stuff.
Also true.
Yeah.
Other than when it came to CM Punk, because Meltzer definitely had one side of the story.
Oh, yeah. Favoritism there.
Yeah.
Even though the Elite is super K Larry, you know, but
He lost a tooth, damn it.
yeah.
The poor dog.
Yeah, who super kicks a dog? See, this is why the Elite will never be over for
The
me.
same
This is
people
why
that
they
super
get
kick
boycotted.
kids for their birthdays and wrestle blow-up dolls.
Well, the blow up doll is whatever. Like, people make too much shit about the blow up doll, but like super kicking the puppy is where I cross the line.
I do also have to say something and disagree with Allison. I would say that for the most part, Meltzer is a credible journalist, especially if you go back far enough, late 70s through the 80s, 90s. He really had his stuff together. Now, though, if you go to Japan, the Dragon Open Gate pro wrestling promotion, he recently put out some false information that the promotion came out and said this was wrong. And so when it comes to AEW, yeah, he might be pretty spot on. But when it comes to some other places around the world, maybe not so much. So yes, 50-50. Somewhere between your opinions on Meltzer and Bobby's is probably the truth somewhere.
Why is it every time that you say you disagree with Allison, I expect to see a shoe come at your head?
I don't even have anything to throw.
She can't throw anything at me.
Like a cornet doll will be like flying.
She'll just start grabbing things and throwing them.
Put my hair tie. So I'm going to leave us talking about Jay Briscoe for last, just so that it gets time and is, you know, and it doesn't take the whole show. So I figured we'd do that last. So my next one is Kevin Nash makes statements about suicide this week. A wellness check is done and he's assured he's okay. On a podcast, he made a statement that said, "Today is week 12 that I lost my boy. Time flies when you got a gun in your mouth. I mean, time flies when you're having fun." He said that this statement was made sarcastically and that he promises that he's fine.
Well, that's
I
good
was
to hear.
when I originally heard this, I was scared, like for Nash. His co-host though did say that it's arm day, and then today Nash made another statement that said that it's leg day, and he was being quote unquote sarcastic. I don't know if these are the right kind of jokes to tell,
Right.
especially in this day and age, and with pro wrestling in general. And Nash is one of those guys that has already said that he's outlived what he should live. Like, you don't see guys his age with his size still being alive and doing the stuff he does. He lost his best friend this year, like just a few weeks before his son, then lost his son. So definitely it's been a tough year for Nash. I think it was a bad joke. And, other podcasters that I listen to, like Cornette, they've said bad jokes too. But this time the bad joke really turned it around. Like it was almost like a almost like a reach for help, I would almost say, for Nash to see how many people truly love him. And I'm glad the community at least reached out to him and showed, Kevin Nash, hey, we all love you and we appreciate you and we want you to be around.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that mental health and that side of things isn't talked about enough. I don't think it's something to be joked about. I think that's just kind of a good blanket statement and a good way to put it. So I think that's the best way to put it. Just, I don't think it's something to joke about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Agree.
Also in this chat, Katie, we don't kink shame. And Matt says, I won't yuck your yum. That's right. Here at Botched Spots and Share Shots, we don't yuck any yums.
Don't yuck our yum.
Nobody
That's
yucks yums.
Nobody yucks yums.
No yums will be yucked.
Except for mayonnaise in the hair. Or mustard in the hair.
Yeah, and just so you know, on TikTok, we're up to 5.4 thousand likes. So we're just 4.6 thousand likes away from me putting mustard in my hair, which I really don't want to do.
Those of you on Twitch watching, if you go to Bobby's TikTok and put 10,000 likes up for him, he's going to do it. So, we need to try to get it.
That's TikTok Yellow Shoe Guy. Earlier, we hit 10,000 and mayonnaise with my hair. So, yay, that was gross. You guys are gross.
So if you want Yellow Shoe Guy to have yellow mustard in his hair, go ahead and get him 10,000 likes on TikTok.
We did mayo earlier.
Yeah.
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 100%.
There you go.
Yeah,
Next
it
stop
was
is
really
ketchup
fun
and
getting
relish.
out of my hair.
So, continuing the talk of mental health, NXT superstar Amari Miller says that she attempted suicide a week ago. She's been on her social media talking about the importance of mental health. Again, reiterate, and exactly what Katie says. Mental health over physical health, for sure.
I'm sorry, I did not mean to laugh. That was a really inopportune time. I read Matt's comment in the chat. I am so sorry.
So with Allison's topic, I'll be honest, I don't know who that is, but
She's in
mental
NXT.
health is important, and I'm sure WWE offers that kind of help for anybody in their company. So hopefully she seeks that and does the best for with her employer. I know that they're not quote unquote employees, but WWE offers better employment programs for non-employees than I think any company in the world when it comes to mental health and abuses and things like that. So hopefully this young lady takes advantage of that and seeks whatever help that she needs.
Yeah, hopefully too, man.
Yeah, just kind of chiming in, following it with the Kevin Nash thing. Like, mental health is important. It's okay to not be okay.
And shout out to Katie because she's in the chat, and to Sheely Shokis for always having the hotline number on display in the overlay every single week. So shout out to her. Shout out to Sheely. Because it is important. It's kind of hard to do. Like, it's like, especially if you're someone who feels like it's like a weakness or like it's a disability or something, you feel ashamed by it. So like sometimes it's not the easiest thing to reach out and actually get the help. So like shout out to what was her name? Oh.
Which one? What was her name, Allison?
I deleted it. Hang on. Amari Miller.
Amari Miller.
There you go. I'm back. I think I froze there for a second.
Oh, you were.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's just my internet got wonky once again. It was acting up a little bit before we started streaming.
We need to get a GoFundMe going for Vincent.
Allison, do we have like a fun and bright topic to talk
yes.
about?
This is a sad set of
this is
news
like a
and
dark
rumors.
cloud.
I can't help what happened.
This is Botched Spots and Chair Shots, the mortuary edition.
God, Bobby, be nice. What's next on your list?
Jesus.
WWE spoils Cody Rhodes in the Rumble.
That was not a spoil. That was
That
exactly.
was not a spoiler.
That's what
No.
those promos. That's exactly what those promos were leading up to. Like you knew he was coming back for the Rumble.
Yeah, but they could have
Like
made it
they should
fun.
have said it. They've got so many other things planned for the Rumble that's rumored right now. They don't need they don't need 30 30 people just coming back. Like
No.
the rumors with The Rock and Austin possibly being in the Rumble. That right there, like if Cody came back and Rock and Austin came back, you'd forget about Cody. Like you'd forget about Cody, and especially if Rock and Austin ended up in the ring together after all these years, after 20 years, and they throw a punch with each other, people would be like, Cody who? So, yeah, I didn't think it was a spoiler. I thought it was. What does Paul Heyman say? It's not a spoiler. It's a.
No. It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah. All right. I was backwards on that one.
It's all right. I saw where you were going with it, Bobby. Let me help you out real quick. So I said this on last night's recording of the Get Show podcast. So cheap plug, Get Show podcast episode with Chicago the Phantasma, me, Benji, and Justin. We talked about it. We brought it up. Look, would you have preferred them not to say Cody Rhodes shows up? Sure. Were we all expecting Cody Rhodes to be in the Rumble? Yeah. Like from the moment we got the timetable of like the recovery that it was going to take, we kind of figured that he'd be back sometime in January. So he's probably good to go now, but they're saving it for the Rumble, or he was probably ready to go in December. I'm not really sure the time frame for the recovery process. But they were, like Bobby was mentioning, they were doing the vignettes. They announced it. People are now going to get more hyped. I'll tell you this right now. I was telling myself, if Cody Rhodes doesn't come back in time for that Raw in March, I'm not going to go, or in April or whatever. But if Cody Rhodes gets announced beforehand, then I'll go. And maybe a few people are going to now go. Maybe now they're going to sell a little bit more tickets and show up. Because unlike John Cena in the Royal Rumble, that we didn't know was going to show up, or Edge where we didn't know he was going to show up, everyone was anticipating Cody Rhodes to show up. So we're expecting him to be there. So why not just let everyone know that he is going to be there? Just don't announce the entire field for the Rumble or half the field for the Rumble like they did with the women last year. As long as you don't do that, I'm fine with it. And then I'm sure, like Bobby was mentioning, there's probably some big returns there. And then if Cody shows up and then this big return happens, he might be forgotten in the wayside for that slight moment. And plus, when Cody shows up, he's going to get a pop regardless of the spoiler or not. That's just my opinion. That's my take.
I agree with Vince 100% on that. Like this is something that we all knew was going to happen. So why not just announce it that it's going to happen? Like, again, with Triple H and Cena, we did not expect those two returns at all when they happened. And the worst that happened, again, like what if Cody didn't come back and number 30 was Rey Mysterio and he got booed out of the building, like Daniel Bryan's in or something like that. So I think they protected themselves and they protected their talent.
Yeah. Just now, and here's the thing with the Royal Rumble: we don't know when he's coming out. We know he's going to be in there, but we don't know when he's coming out. So he could start the Rumble, be early on in the Rumble, midway, or towards the end, or be the last one there. So I think what they're going to do a great job of spreading out the surprises and make sure everyone gets a chance to breathe.
I think he's gonna be either number 1 or number 2. I think with his entrance music, he's gonna need that number 1 or number 2 spot.
With his whole entrance, yeah.
Yeah, like okay, yeah, all right, yeah.
I'd say it depends on if he's winning. If he's winning, I want him towards the end. But if he's not winning, get him in it early so that when he gets eliminated, at least the people got to see him for a good spell there. And if he's not winning, you better have a really good option to win, because you might get that Daniel Bryan effect when Batista and Roman Reigns won back to back and Bryan didn't win. Because right now it does feel like Cody is the people's favorite to win the Rumble.
Yeah, and I think again with the rumors of Stone Cold and The Rock possibly being in this thing, how does Cody overcome that? Like, how do you overcome the two biggest main eventers in WWE Attitude Era of the past 20 years?
Listen, forget Austin, forget Rock. I heard Bad Bunny's not torn anymore. If he shows up, Austin, Rock, nor Cody stand a chance. He better get that win. I want Bad Bunny to take the title off of Roman Reigns. That's
Bad
what
Bunny
I'm
versus
thinking.
Logan Paul.
I would like to bring up the irony and Bobby questioning sources earlier in the episode, but he brings up the possibility of Austin and The Rock being in the Royal Rumble.
In 2K, in WWE games.
Rock has been a legitimate rumor for months now, by Triple H even saying that if Rock didn't finalize the deal by mid-January, that they were going to have to figure out what the WrestleMania plans were. And Stone Cold has been posting videos and pictures on social media of him working out like a madman. And if you look up movies, I don't see where Stone Cold signed up for any movies lately.
But The Rock is currently filming or in production for 4 simultaneously this spring. And when you look at the fact that The Rock is paid per appearance, so if you look at Royal Rumble and then if you put him in it, you almost feel like he has to win, which means he'll be involved in some sort of program, which means 4 or 5 TV appearances plus the Rumble, then at least 1 in WrestleMania. So that's a $7 million hit to the budget in a company that's preparing to sell.
A company that's preparing to sell for $7 billion. I don't see that as being a big deal. And they paid Shane McMahon just shy of $400,000 for his.
Yeah, but he finessed the system. No, here's what I'm going to say. I don't want The Rock in the Rumble because you can get that matchup set up without the Rumble. And I feel like just like last year when Ronda came back and won the Rumble, I don't think Ronda needed to win the Rumble to be in the spot she was last year. And I think it's the same thing with The Rock. Because what Will is saying is correct. If The Rock shows up, it's going to be hard for whoever wins to get that favoritism from the fans. They're going to probably get some heat because The Rock showed up and didn't win. I think what you do is you do what you did last year for SummerSlam and for Money in the Bank with the John Cena and Brock Lesnar return. Have it post-match after Kevin Owens. You get that face-off, and that's how you get your money's worth. Is you have The Rock show up. Say what?
Unless the Bloodline are the ones that eliminate him together.
I don't think the Bloodline are going to be in the Rumble. I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't think the Usos are going to be in there. Maybe Sami Zayn could be in the Rumble. Maybe Solo Sikoa, but I don't see Solo Sikoa and Sami Zayn together eliminating the Rumble. And I just think that's cheap. Just like what were they? The League of Nations tried to eliminate Roman Reigns from the Rumble. I think that's always very weak booking where you get outside people to eliminate a specific wrestler from a Rumble. At that point, just don't even put him in the Rumble.
Right. But a boa constrictor eliminated Andre the Giant.
That's different. That's different. That's not an actual talent.
Hey, that boa was talented.
I don't think he was on the payroll.
Well, speaking of the Bloodline, let's go ahead and talk about this. Bloodline reunion on Raw 30. They said they will have every generation of the Bloodline. What does that mean?
What does that mean? That we're going to get Alpha and Sika?
Yes.
It means that they're going to have to reinforce the ring. Because that's a lot of weight in there. And I'm hoping we don't see a stink face.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah. Listen, Will and I think we talked about this on TikTok a couple days ago. I think this sets up the Rock thing. So does Rock need to be in the Rumble if this goes over really well? Does Rock show up on Raw unannounced? I don't really think so, because when you put Rock on cable TV, you want to announce that he's going to be there so you get the pop and you get the people on there and watching, the viewers. Could you have Rock's mom on there? And they ask the mom, why isn't Rock out here? And they kind of go against her. So Rock has to come as a protective son and protect his mom. Not on that show, but sets that up. So I think there's going to be something in there. I'm just not really sure what. Is it Rock's daughter going in the ring from NXT and them going?
I don't think she will. I don't think she will. I think
no. I think that one's really far fetched. But there's got to be some kind of connection to somebody questioning why isn't Rocky here, and that's what pisses Roman off and wants the WrestleMania match.
Or they do a vignette, and he says he doesn't come because they can pre-film something wherever he is.
Yeah,
they can do a vignette, and he can say, "I'm not here because I don't respect you as the head of the table. I'm the head of the table," or whatever. He didn't have to be there for them to make.
Oh no, yeah. Actually, him not showing up adds more fuel to the fire. That's more disrespectful than if he did show up and said, "No, I'm not acknowledging." Him not showing up it's like even more disrespect, more salt in the wound, so to speak.
Every generation means every generation. Matt says it in the chat. So if he doesn't show up, and this is one of those things where I said it. I think I said it on TikTok or I said it on another show recently, where WWE is really lucky because if he shows up, they get to play the he doesn't acknowledge him, he's disrespectful. It sets up the Mania match. If he doesn't show up, then they get to play the he's disrespectful, and it helps set up the Mania match. So he gets almost anything. But I think we're putting the cart before the horse here. Because there's still no guarantee that the fucking Mania match is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and every generation, he's part of the same generation as Rikishi. So if Rikishi shows up, then that generation is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't. They said every generation of the bloodline is going to be represented. Doesn't mean every member of the bloodline. Clever wordplay. Fair point there, Bobby. By the way, my phone died, so I can't see the chat anymore.
I said the other night that you're the Howard Stern of the Rivet City Radio Podcast Network, Bobby. I take that back. You might be the Saul Goodman of the Rivet City Radio Podcast Network.
I gotta look that one up.
But is this also an opportunity for us to see Naomi come back before the Rumble, debut as a member of the Bloodline, and then be in the Rumble?
Listen, if Naomi's in the Rumble as a member of the Bloodline, I need her to win and challenge Charlotte for that SmackDown title.
100%.
Who cares about Naomi?
A lot of people.
Everyone except you, Bobby.
That's what I was about to say. Everybody except for you.
You're the only one that doesn't.
Go back to being a Funkadactyl.
Wow.
No, sorry, Bobby. You're out of pocket for that one.
He's got it.
No.
This is why people don't like you. I'm just going to say it.
Just because you don't appreciate women's wrestling. I love you to
I
death.
appreciate good wrestling. I don't care if it's male or female.
That's
Naomi, besides her glow, has never really gotten over.
That's not true at all.
She did you not remember when she returned and won the title in Orlando at WrestleMania 33? She was over like Rover. She had one of the biggest pops there.
Or the entire last run with Sasha as tag champs before they walked out.
Hell yeah.
I could walk out in Orlando and get a pop because it's my hometown.
Bobby, you'd walk out in Orlando and get crickets.
You're the kind of guy that gets home, you're the kind of guy who gets go home heat in his hometown, Bobby.
It's more like happy home heat.
Oh my god. No, but yeah, I'm with that. But here's the thing, Allison. Wouldn't that go against what you were just preaching about having Cody be announced for the Rumble and then be in the Rumble, and not have the surprise? Wouldn't you rather just have Naomi surprised in the Rumble? You're pulling the Bobby here and going back on your words.
Fuck you.
The chat's going off. She aged out of his interest range. Bobby is delusional. Naomi stole the show. Yellow stands out when it's on your back. The chat's going off, Bobby. Did you just become the biggest heel on Botch Bots and Share Shots again? Did you retake the title?
Dude, I've always, I think, been the biggest heel on this one. It's usually you're the heel on TikTok and I'm the face, so.
Interesting. Makes me question TikTok.
It's kind of like Canada. It's like Canada and the U.S. It's Bret Hart. It's Bret Hart syndrome. And Will can be the Bret Hart because I don't want to be that guy.
The difference between Naomi coming out on Monday versus them announcing Cody is that in order for the storyline of her joining the Bloodline to make sense, they have to do something prior. Like, that makes sense. Just being like, oh, Cody's coming back. Like, meh.
Naomi's going to get the same response from that crowd that Mercedes Moné got from the New Japan crowd.
Negative.
And crickets.
Completely disagree with that, my friend.
Well, here's the thing. You can't sit there and assume and compare and contrast crowds in different countries because normally New Japan crowds aren't going to go, get a pop. No, you get a very quiet reaction. during the match, during the entrances, because it's a way of respect. That's the way that it's done over there in New Japan. They actually stay quiet for most of it. If you come over to the States, everybody's wilding out and throwing their tank tops everywhere, showing titties. But in New Japan, everyone's covered up. It's more reserved.
Okay, so what about backstage press conferences when you got the Japanese media there and, hey, I'm back. You guys wanted me back and you thought I was going to be amazing. And do you have a question for me?
Well, it's
okay.
Language barrier, man.
I was about to say, Bobby, do you think if one of those Japanese reporters who speak Japanese had anything to say to her and she asked and they raised their hand and they said it in Japanese, do you think it would mean anything? They're respectful people. They're not going to yell at her when they understand she doesn't speak the language. The questions were probably written out and translated and given to her so she could make a statement per what the media wanted her to speak on.
So I've seen political figures go over and ask questions in other countries that speak a different language, and they didn't get the crickets that she did. And
it's a different news base.
Yeah.
Like those are.
Wait! No, I could shut this conversation down right now. This won't take long.
You.
I know the checkmate for this conversation. I've been watching chess. You ready, Bobby? You ready? How much New Japan Pro Wrestling do you watch?
I watch a ton. Anytime I want to go to sleep.
Okay, so the answer is none. Therefore, understanding how that product gets over in Japan, at the very least, you would say you have a low or below average, like, watch time and understanding of their stories and the politics and how Japanese wrestling works, right?
I would agree. I will say, though, with Monet's comment today, that she's trying to put New Japan on the map. I think any Japanese fan is going to resent her even more, and I don't think she's trying. I don't think she's trying to be a heel.
Yeah, she is trying to be a heel. So after her post-match comment, her promo she cut, and then the press conference stuff, it's all heel work stuff. And look, she means across the world in the West, not with the New Japan crowd, not with the New Japan fans, not with the local fans. She's talking about with the States. Because I'm gonna tell you this right now, for personal experience, I have not seen people that marked up and that curious as to how to watch a Wrestle Kingdom since, like, I think it was like Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, or I think it was like Kenny Omega versus Okada the first time. And that was what got the ball rolling. I think it was Wrestle Kingdom 9 or 10 that we had Okada versus Omega that got people hyped and interested into this. And she's going to be a catalyst. Like, whether you believe so or not, I've seen Twitter blow up. I've seen people that have no interest in New Japan or any Japanese wrestling or any wrestling outside of WWE actively staying up at like 2 in the morning to watch Mercedes Moné possibly show up in Wrestle Kingdom and challenge Kairi Sane. So I think that alone disproves any claim that you're trying to make at the moment.
I was up at 2:00 in the morning to watch Wrestle Kingdom.
I was up. The last time I watched was when we had Jericho versus Omega, and like the pandemic really did hinder, the pandemic and the Elite like leaving for AEW really did hinder a lot of New Japan's productivity here in the States, and Mercedes Moné is going to help bring in people, bring in eyeballs into that, because isn't the events already sold out? The one in California?
Yeah, Battle in the Valley.
It's already sold out.
How big?
No match has been announced. The only thing that they know is going to happen is their Mercedes is going to wrestle there. That's the only thing that they know it's sold.
Who gives a fuck how big the arena is?
Well, if it's a stadium and you sell out, WrestleMania sells out a lot of times without a match being announced. But if you're in a bingo hall and you announce New Japan Pro Wrestling, it's going to sell out because you don't get to see that all the time in the U.S.
You know what? How about this, Bobby? Why don't you Google the venue?
I'm looking it up right now. I got you.
Yeah, and then at that point, Allison can read off the next thing from news and rumors while you Google it.
I'm gonna continue back, circle back to something I said. All right, Bobby, I'm gonna make a bet.
3,000 people.
3,000 person arena. That's a high school gym. Come on.
It's not a high school gym.
My high school, it was.
Well, good for you.
Were you a bougie motherfucker then? My high school didn't seat 3K, that's for sure. There's an arm behind you! Your house is haunted!
Oh my
There's
God.
an arm!
Thing! There was Thing just showed up.
That was like a fucking horror movie!
Is Vince going to do the Wednesday
When did
dance?
that happen? 55:30. Got it.
Vince needs to do the Wednesday dance. With Thing in the background.
Dude, that was awesome. I just looked up and there was an arm. It was just like...
It tossed a piece of tissue at me.
Okay, Bobby. So,
Yeah.
here's the deal. If Naomi comes out on Monday and gets a big pop, or if she doesn't come out on Monday and she comes out at the Royal Rumble, when Naomi comes back, if she gets a huge pop, you have to do an entire episode with me where we're only going to talk about women's wrestling and you can't shit on it, period.
On top of that, I want him to get pom-poms and like a tight women's wrestling gear like the Funkadactyls and do the dance the entire time. It's talking about like Funky's on a roll, somebody better call your mama in the background as Allison talks about wrestling.
Bobby couldn't sell out a high school gym, but to be fair, he also isn't allowed within 500 feet of one.
That's actually elementary schools.
Wow, don't admit that
That's
on
worse
air.
than
Oh,
What the fuck, Bobby?
So with Allison's thing,
God.
one is talking again. It's not about the sex of the performer. I'm all about dude. There's so many bad male wrestlers that are out there,
Right.
and you watch their matches.
Let me rephrase.
Okay.
Current women's wrestling, and I pick the matches we talk about, and you have to watch them.
Yeah, I have no problem with watching those matches.
And say good things about them.
If I see good things, I will only point out the good things, and I will skip the bad things. If I watch a match and I think it's complete garbage, then I just won't say anything about the match.
Wow.
Well, there's that.
Let's move on, please, before Bobby... I don't even know. 56 minutes and 47 seconds before Bobby said something that could get us canceled.
Yeah.
There it is! It's back!
Anywho. Devon Dudley announces departure from WWE. If you didn't know, he was a trainer backstage for NXT.
I think I recall hearing something like that.
Yeah, and him and Bubba have been playing it up on Twitter today. Bubba put something up with some emojis, and then Devon put something about testify, brother, or whatever, or get the tables. So, good for them. They're WWE Hall of Famers. They'll definitely hit the indie scene. They'll make a ton of cash. Maybe not the indie scene, maybe the upper indie scene. Impact and stuff like that. But good for them.
Impact's not an indie. I'd say they're above indie.
They're the number
like
3 promotion in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
What number?
Number
Number
3.
3. By default.
You think New Japan Pro Wrestling is not number 3?
Based in and out of the American promotions, no.
Well, they just sold out an arena of 3,000 people.
They're not a U.S. promotion.
Bobby,
Why are you the way you are?
Who hurt you? Who hurt
Who
you?
hurt you?
Dude, I just heard that actually NXT is filming over at Universal now.
They're about to go on a road tour, so that's.
I'm sorry, not NXT. AEW is filming. They're filming the one on the internet at Universal.
Dark and Dark Elevation.
Yeah.
the one on the internet.
Might have to go over there one day and hold a sign up that said you guys suck.
Oh.
Al, what's next on your list?
So, with the initial conversation of Raw 30, my next isn't really it's not a news and rumor, but I wanted for each of you to say your favorite Raw memory. And Raw is in this show. Don't be nasty,
Bobby.
Bill.
Don't be out of pocket. Stay within.
I love the
Stay
fact that
in
they're
your
calling
lane.
it Raw Triple X.
Because
Raw is-
Triple X is 30 in Roman numerals, you uncultured swine.
Okay,
I know, but
let
seriously,
let me
that logo.
let me not sit here and pretend like I'm not gonna make us porn innuendo on this week's next week's show when we talk about Raw Triple X.
Fine.
To be completely honest, when I'm in that chat and I don't, have to play host, I absolutely will be right there with you, cracking jokes about you and I and Raw Triple X, Vince. I'm just going. That's not a spoiler. That's a guarantee.
Yeah, Vince, who's your favorite member of the Rhodes family, Lana or Jessa?
Can I say Cody?
Thank you. I said Dustin, and he goes, "What?"
No, to go off of what Allison said, I'll kick us off. And I think my favorite Raw memory that I can think of right now off the top of my head, the first one, is the 2005 WWE draft. We get the highlight reel with Chris Jericho, first draft pick of Monday Night Raw. Come on down. John motherfucking Cena shows up with the Spinner Championship, rocks the whole world. It's the first time that they switched the titles. And for like a good spell there, they had both the world champion in Batista and the WWE champion in John Cena on Monday Night Raw until the final draft pick was Batista going over to SmackDown. John Cena going from SmackDown to Raw changed the trajectory of his career and the WWE landscape for forever. And ever since then, he's been a mainstay of Monday Night Raw until like he went part-time and then slowly faded away into the background. So for me, that stands out to me for Raw memory. If we talk about SmackDown, I have other stuff in mind. But right, John Cena, first draft pick, 2005 draft, Raw memory.
I will. I'm going to agree with Katie, and I know she's going to absolutely hate that. So, haha, Katie. I agree. Lita versus Trish was a great match, and it had two of the top performers in WWE at that time. When there was a lot of other top performers, and those two earned that spot. It wasn't because of their sex, their religion, or anything else. It was because they earned the spot. And I agree, Lita Trish was a great main event in 2004 for Raw. My favorite Raw moment, those ECW invasions were really cool for me. Not just the performance of what happened or what was going on in the ring, but I'm not talking about the invasion angle. I'm talking about the actual original ECW. It was the first time that WWE actually acknowledged other companies and allowed another company to come in. They didn't need ECW. ECW needed them. And I thought Paulie Dangerously and all of them did an amazing job with Jerry Lawler as the catalyst to them. So those two, and the easiest one, I think, would be, I'm sure I'm going to steal Will's pick here, Foley winning that belt. When Shivani made the announcement on Nitro, I was a Nitro guy. I turned the channel too.
Well, my favorite Raw moment is January 4th, 1999, Mankind versus the Corporate Rock. Okay? Mankind did Mankind things and put the Rock over. He kicked out of the corporate elbow. Ken Shamrock attacked Mick Foley. Then Billy Gunn attacked Ken Shamrock. Then DX attacked the corporation. Then Stone Cold's music hit, and he came out and he took out the corporation. Then he hit a chair shot on the Rock. He pulled Foley on top. 1, 2, 3. DX lifted Mrs. Foley's baby boy on their shoulders, and he got his first WWE Championship. January 4th, 1999. That's my favorite moment in Raw history. And just to be clear, I didn't have any of that written down.
And I predicted it.
And you knew exactly what I was going to say, Bobby.
Stealing your thunder.
Nice.
What's Katie saying in the chat? Does Bobby know they are women? Yes, they have boobs. Hello.
Wow, Bobby. Fuck, what? Bobby. I can't wait for you to get your own show.
I can't wait to meet my censor person.
Jesus.
I'm just going to click buttons.
Katie's going to be your producer.
So it'll be like a Charlie Chaplin episode. It'll just be silent. I'll be like, just.
All right. Give me 1 sec, guys. I'm just going to turn off my camera real quick. I'll be right back. Give me like a minute. All right.
Okay. While he's gone, we can talk about him.
The Yellow Shoe Mile, starring Bobby the Butcher.
The Yellow
Is
Shoe
that
Mile.
the other butcher guy? Who's the other butcher guy?
The Backwoods Butcher. He wrestles for Big Time Wrestling. Or not Big Time Wrestling, Big P Wrestling out of Bowling
no,
Green.
big time wrestling is that's a marked territory that just goes around and buys guys and travels around. Actually, I worked for them once, so I guess
They're the company that does. They did Ricky the Dragon's last show, and you're absolutely right. They have a Big Time Wrestling Championship, but really, what it is it's like a botched show promotion where they'll just book a bunch of top indie guys and Impact guys and Ring of Honor guys and AEW guys that can take outside bookings.
And they'll buy legends too. Like they're big on the legends. So
yeah, but I mean, it's not a bad model. They're successful. They did a big show. They sold out Mall of America. It was like an 8,000 person show when they sold it out. They came close to
8,000 people without Mercedes Moné. Holy cow! How did that happen?
As soon as he says anything offensive turned off, the show would be about 10 seconds long. That's what Katie has to say.
And then I said 3.
Yeah. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Both of you are going to leave. What's the next topic? I'm not stopping the show. Fuck that.
Matt Hardy is potentially going back to being broken Matt Hardy.
I'm going to be completely honest. Hearing you say that, I'm not opposed to broken Matt Hardy. I don't think it's a bad gimmick. It's not my favorite Matt Hardy gimmick, but I hated Big Money Matt. I hated the Hardy family front office. I was okay. Brother Nero and Broken Matt was awesome in Impact. So I think the idea of bringing them back as Broken Matt Hardy and kind of introducing that gimmick, he's shown that he can be versatile and he can bounce back and forth. So I really don't think there's a whole lot wrong with the idea of him bringing that back for a short time. I don't have anything against it. Have you seen Broken Matt Hardy? Do you know what that even is?
No.
That's not one of the versions of Matt Hardy you've seen?
I've seen no versions of Matt Hardy except for TLC 2.
Okay, so
Look at my
whatever.
TikTok.
So
I've
Big
got
Money Matt and the Hardy front office Matt, and then the Matt that he is now, right? That's just all the Matts you've seen. Okay, the Broken Matt Hardy was. How would you describe Broken Matt Hardy, Bobby Mack?
Phantom of the Opera. Like he portrayed a character that like was stuck in this very classical music. Like Rebby played the piano for him to come out in the original entrance. His son at that time, Maxwell, was the only one born at that point. Was part of the characters of him. He spoke in like, oh man, it was kind of like King Booker language, but he knew he was outrageous. He was, I don't know, man. Like it was a nutty character. I've actually on my TikTok, yellowshoeguy.com, not .com, yellowshoeguy. I've got the actual fan footage because I went over there with Matt that night when he got put through the table by Jeff and became Broken Matt over at the Impact Zone. So, yeah, it was. I can't say it's one of my favorite Matt Hardys. Like yeah, I can't say it's one of my favorite. I don't know if I really described it at all. It's such an odd character. I would definitely say watch the matches that they did at the Hardy compound. Like they did the Rock and Roll Express was there. They did the Lake of, what was it called, Will? The Lake of, there's something like they threw people in the lake and they would come back as characters from the past that they used to be. Yeah, it was odd. It was just odd. Rebby and her dad did a phenomenal job with it. She literally came out and played classical music. It was just an extension of the Hardy universe. I think it was more fit for Jeff than it was for Matt.
I think the Willow character is somebody that Jeff Hardy never got to bring out, and I'm upset about that. That was one of his, Vanguard 1 and 2.
Lake of Reincarnation. There we go.
Yeah, thanks. Man, look at Blakely. He's the dude. I love Big Dan. He's my guy. Also, MMA. No free shout-outs. We've been just giving a lot of free shout-outs tonight. Just tons of them.
How about some name dropping? Bobby, don't you know Rebby, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, know her.
Yeah. Like, we've worked, I don't know, like 5 or 6 shows together. Like, she got me into there was a show in Tennessee where her and Matt were there, and she's the one that let me in the back door.
That's cool.
From the back door of the arena.
Right.
No heat with Matt on that one.
Shut the fuck up.
Or in 10 minutes.
Are you
I
gonna
got
tag her?
14 on my count.
What?
Are you gonna tag her?
When he says that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm 100% going to tag him in that.
Bobby's
God.
gonna get beat up.
What's next?
Rebby, dude, I was trying to get her to hook me up with Jessica Vaughn, who's a Playboy model as well. And Jessica chose EC3 over me.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
Over you?
Oh, no, she did. She chose EC3 over me.
Did you ever take her out?
No, but EC3 did because he flew her from where she lives to where he lived. And I ain't got that kind of cash. But I did see EC3 a couple years later at Universal, or it was probably a year later at Universal, and him and I were talking about it. I was like, yeah, man. I was like, tell me all about her. And he did. And now I'm more upset.
Vince.
We're sharing EC3 stories.
No, we were talking about Broken Matt Hardy. That was next. Apparently in AEW storylines, that's Matt's next gimmick when he's going to be bringing back the Broken Matt Hardy gimmick. What are your thoughts on Broken Matt Hardy?
I think it ran its course. I think it was cool and inventive and original when it started. But you saw he was trying to do like a tweak of it when he first showed up to AEW. I don't know. I mean, it's probably been his most successful gimmick. But I don't know. Maybe it's run its course. That's my personal opinion. I feel like it might have just run its course.
I think
I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm done with it. I mean, he could sway me later on, sure. But at the moment, I'm not really clamoring for it.
Cool. Well, next, Dax Harwood reveals FTR's highest paying year in WWE was only $175,000. I mean, I suppose for wrestling, that's not a whole lot. It's a lot for most other people, but yeah.
It's more money than I currently make, so I can't really sit here and say that that's chump change. But compared to what they could be making, yeah, maybe it's a little bit low.
It's what MJF makes now in AEW.
Isn't that rookie deal?
Mm-hmm.
Was it combined though? Like, is it 180 for both of them or 180 each?
It didn't specify.
It would be 180 each, just me knowing what I know about how NXT contracts are written up. They very much use NXT like a minor league system. So if you look at 7-figure...
Well, no, that was their highest paying year, even being on main roster.
Even on the main roster.
That's their highest salary that they ever got.
Brock Lesnar is the highest paid contract right now in the company, and he makes like $6 million a year or something ridiculous like that. The highest paid person in AEW was Cody Rhodes, and he made $3.2 million a year. So is $200,000, just rounding it up, seem like a low ball in WWE? Absolutely it does, especially for him. But I would want to know what year it was, how much they wrestled, were they holding gold, were they on TV a lot? Like, I would want to know the specifications of that year for me to know if it was a justifiable amount to be compensated. Because I'm with Vince. I don't make $175,000 a year. That seems like a shit ton of money to me. I don't know why I would be mad about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Bobby, what do you think about that?
What was their drawing power in WWE? Did they really draw butts and seats? Yes, we all agree on the internet community. They put on, their matches were great. But did they draw people to the arena on house shows. And that's the question I would ask. Like, so did they get paid fair what they drew and what they brought to the company? I'd probably say yes. Would I want them to make more? Yes, because I appreciate them as performers and all that. But at the same time, again, you got to look at, and I don't even want to say this because I'm sure that Katie's gonna get mad at me and Allison's gonna get mad at me. It's like that female soccer player that was saying that they should get paid the same as the male soccer players, or the WNBA saying they should get paid as much as the NBA. If you don't draw the money, then you don't get the money in return. So, if you're the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals that's bringing people to the arena and you're winning games, you make the money. But if you're the quarterback for, I don't know, New England at this point, and you're not drawing the people that Tom Brady drew, you're not going to make that money.
Sort of, but not really. The way collective bargaining and stuff works in the NFL is there's an open market for contracts to be based off of. So a quarterback that signed a deal in 2022 sets the market for every quarterback signing a deal relative in 2023, meaning a team has to be within a certain percentile of the lowest of the starting quarterback position. So of the 32 starting quarterbacks, the NFL has to be within a certain percentage of that player for them to sign contracts, meaning like the market is predetermined going in ahead of time, no matter the draw of that quarterback.
And
Hold on a second. Before we segue, I just want to ask, is TikTok still saying we're ganging up on you? Does TikTok still say we gang up on you?
TikTok right now, I'm at 9.1 thousand likes. Getting close to the mustard. Marie Shadows, I haven't seen anybody say that you guys are ganging up on me. Marie Shadows is saying that Bobby be asking the important questions. Marie says that she's ganging up on me. She says for the WNBA, there's one lady who wants equal pay.
No, she's saying she said it.
Oh, okay. Just FYI. Okay. I don't know. Like when I said the female reference, it was really that blonde hair soccer player. I don't remember her name.
Right. Well, here's
stepped on the American flag, even though she represented the company, or in the company, the country.
Did you just call the United States the company?
It pretty much is.
Can I ask you a serious question?
No, thank you.
Do you know where you were on June 6th, 2022?
You mean January?
Or yeah, January 6th, 2022.
I was about to say
January
June
6th,
6th, 1992. Like
January 6th, 2023, I was standing with Vince McMahon, barging back in and taking my dinosaur head and going, "Yo, WWE's mine."
Oh my God, Bobby. Allison, quick, change the subject. We need him to hit 10,000 people so he can get mustard in his hair.
No,
9.3 right now.
Huh?
9.3 thousand right now.
What are you doing?
Dude, the mail was so bad.
It's Bobby's
so bad.
TikTok, so he has some shit in his hair.
I think I'm going to log in right now. What's next on your list?
Next on my list is Summer Rae was spotted backstage at AEW Dynamite on Wednesday.
That'll okay. I'm gonna steal something from Tony Schiavone. That'll move the needle.
I think that it's not a surprise on account of she was already speculated and they had talked about, I think it was last fall, she was in the running for a coaching position and a couple other things. So I think this isn't the first time her name has popped up in reference with AEW.
it's the first time I heard about it. I mean, sure. I mean, if
unless I'm thinking about somebody else, I was thinking that she was either going to take a coaching job and then didn't. Never got my answer about Will's handcrafted secret sauce, 17 herbs and spices. You damn right.
What is she gonna coach? What is Summer Rae gonna coach? Like a fandango dance?
Oh, Bobby.
Vince, you get it. You get it.
You guys cannot say Summer Rae was a good professional wrestler in the ring.
She made more money pro wrestling than you did.
Thank God. What can you? But honestly, so why would you want to be coached by Summer Rae? Like, so you can slap Natty?
I in
Right,
AEW, why would you slap Natty in AEW? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm just saying, isn't she the one that slapped Natty on reality TV? And that wasn't that Summer Rae?
That's an Allison question.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah,
don't
I can
remember.
answer that.
Do
I
you
can
know?
answer that. Yes. It was when she was basically accusing Summer of being like basically a whore, dressing like a whore or whatever, and then she just slapped her in her front porch, and she just yelled, "Get out of my house! Get out!
Fudge.
Get!"
Will, why'd you do that?
We're gonna put some handcrafted churned gray butter with my with my 50 shades of urban spices apparently from Matt.
Oh my God.
Did I get it over 10? Oh, I got it over 10K. Okay, I'm getting off TikTok now.
Perfect.
Okay, Summer Rae, I think she can be good in a qualified role in a women's roster. So I don't
I'm
think
sure
it'll
if
be
I
bad.
want to watch Bobby put mustard in his hair, can that wait until after I'm off the show? Or can I leave and then come back after it's been done?
Oh my God.
You can shut your camera off and like. You don't have to watch him slather it on if you don't want to.
So I'm at 10.1 thousand likes. Here comes the mustard. Here comes the mustard. Oh my God, this is so gross.
I hate everything about what's happening right now.
Yeah, anybody on the podcast, if you follow me on TikTok, apparently my new gimmick is putting condiments, oh my God, in my hair. I'm at 10,000 likes, and I've now got mustard all.
It's gonna get. Oh, Bobby, why would you do
not on
that?
your face.
in the face.
That
So
feels like
there
it's-
you go, TikTok. 10,000 likes gets condiments. So mayonnaise earlier and mustard now.
Your hair's
Mom,
gonna
you
fall
must be
out.
proud.
Do we have more topics? Do we have?
Yes,
more
we
news?
have so many more.
Please move on. Please, for the love of God, move on.
All right, I'm gonna wash my hands.
Okay. While Bobby's gone, Vince McMahon reaches multi-million-dollar legal settlement with Rita Chatterton, who accused him of SA.
I think he paid her off in the 80s, so I kind of think that's what he's doing now. I don't think it takes away from the guilt of the situation and what he did.
For sure.
I've been saying that Vince is a super creepy old man this whole time, so him paying off another woman who accused him of these things, it's like the old Cat Williams saying, you don't get accused of the same thing 30 times and at one point it not be true.
Thoughts? Vince, I can't hear you.
Are you muted, Vince?
Am I muted?
Yeah,
Not
you're good now.
Oh, okay. No, it seemed like I was frozen there. I wasn't really sure. I was trying to figure that out. I was about to message you guys.
I apologize to everybody watching on Twitch on behalf of my co-host. I will be addressing this after the show. So I appreciate your patience and love and support.
Yeah, I love how Easy Eats and TikTok is going, dude, that's weird. And B Davey, time for a shower. You guys are the ones that made it happen.
All right, Vince, go.
What was the question again? I'm sorry. I'm seeing a grown
Vince
man with mustard in his hair.
Made a multi-million-dollar settlement to Rita Chatterton this week.
I mean, look, I've been trying to like stay away from the whole Vince McMahon stuff because it's like, honestly, like, I just don't want to deal with it, to be honest with you. So me personally, I don't really have much of a comment on it. It like, obviously, I don't approve of the man's actions. But that's really all I can say or have to say about it.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Dude's kind of gross, so I try not to talk about him as much as I can.
That's kind of what I said too. It's just kind of a gross old man. He needs to stay as far away from wrestling as humanly possible.
So Road Dogg has been shitting on everybody on his podcast. But today, he didn't take a shit on somebody. Or not today, or whatever the last one was. He didn't take a shit on somebody. He says that Asuka is the Roman Reigns of the women's division. Or that she could be.
I think that pretty much takes a shit on the rest of the women's division because Asuka is, as much as they built her up in NXT, the past like 3 years, she's really lost the luster that she built in NXT. I think Charlotte and Bayley, I think even, Bianca are much bigger names at this point, Becky Lynch, than Asuka is.
Well, like, this is what I'm going to say is currently I would say that I would give that nod to Bianca Belair as the Roman Reigns of the women's division. If the statement was that she has the potential to be the Roman Reigns of the women's division, obviously, yes, we saw that back in NXT, like Papi just mentioned, and they've floundered, they fumbled it. She could have been that dominant, and she just wasn't. And like you were saying, like Bobby, you were saying like, oh, Vince McMahon doesn't ruin wrestling. I mean, Triple H was in charge of Asuka's booking in NXT. It was great. She comes up to the main roster and she loses her streak to Charlotte Flair and then starts spiraling downwards to the mid card of that women's division to the point where she is now. I'm not saying she's irrelevant. I'm not saying she's terrible or she's bad, but I will say that Triple H, and Road Dogg obviously see something in Asuka that Triple H didn't see enough of her to like push her like he's pushing the Roman Reigns.
Right. And so this is my defense on that with Vince and Triple H and Triple H's NXT. It was filmed at Full Sail University. It's a small university. It's like the ECW arena. Like, you've got hardcore fans that are going there. You've also got people that are going there because it's their job. Like, I legitimately worked with somebody who was part of the Full Sail University in 2017-18. So he was part of that. Most of the arena was filled with people that were working there. So yes, there were outside fans, but there was a majority of students that were there getting the part of this diploma program was being part of this, and they were basically extras. So they were putting all these people over, and it's almost like the COVID era of the fake, ring, sounds and all the fake sounds of the fans in NXT. So how true were they? Like, how much were they really over in the arena that helped the internet fans also feel like, man, this is great. Like Hogan Rock, you watch that match, you're into it unless you turn off the volume and you're like, oh wow, it sucks. Like, so was NXT Triple H time in Full Sail, was that the same thing as Hogan Rock, where you turn the volume down and maybe this stuff wasn't as good as we really remember?
Well, the counter argument I'd say with that is that how the fuck did they sell out Brooklyn and so many live stadiums and had the crowd invested? It's because of the talent. It's because of the work that they put in. It's the body of work that in the content of the wrestling, of the wrestlers and the characters and the build-up. You saw actual character progression in many wrestlers like Sami Zayn, Bayley, and Asuka, and the works develop in NXT. You saw a fan base organically grow and love that brand. And that's the argument I'd say. Like, yeah, you can say like, oh, it's the crowd, but not every show was in Full Sail. They were touring, they were doing shows elsewhere, and tickets were hard to come by. Because even before they did the Brooklyn show, tickets were hard to come by when they were touring, because I tried to get tickets for a Chicago show here and they sold out in minutes. So there's that. That's kind of where I stand with it. It's that, yeah, you can make that point, but I'd say it's not the best points because obviously they were organically that good.
And
That's fair.
I'll also chime in and say that yes, the people at Full Sail and the Capitol Wrestling Center were interns or local indie talent or extras, but on those small, it wasn't that they were told. There wasn't a big light that came on and said applause, or there wasn't a big light. See, this is there wasn't. And when you go to the tapings, and Allison can attest to this, and I'm sure Vince has probably been to some shows that did dark tapings, NWA, Impact, AEW, and WWE all do it the same way. When they're filming dark matches, they let you know we're going to be recording in 5, 4, everybody make some noise, 3, 2, 1, and then they let you know to erupt because there's not a live takeoff or count off point for it. So I get what you're saying, but it's like we're saying the same thing and you're just putting your twist on it.
No, I'm saying one of Impact's biggest like draws when you go to a live event was, and TV taping as well, was they would say, whoever's the loudest fans tonight, we're going to bring you guys backstage. You're going to meet the wrestlers and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to pick you guys out of the audience.
I mean, they have. I've seen them actually do that though.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what they do. Like they pick like 20 or 30 people, but they do it throughout the entire night. It's not who's the loudest. They're just picking.
I mean, that's just wrestling tropes. Everyone's done it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
they do it all the time. You go to a magic show,
like Will's saying, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We're just regurgitating it.
We're just saying it different ways.
Vince. Oh, I've got the analogy. I figured it out. Vince is the CNN of wrestling podcasts, and Bobby is the Fox News of wrestling podcasts. They're giving you the same story, just with different takes.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about being called the CNN of podcasts.
Okay, maybe not the CNN of podcasts, but you get the analogy here.
Yes,
I like the Fox thing.
Okay, you might not be the CNN, Vince. I apologize for that.
No, it's all right. It's all right. But I got what you were going for, and
I'm good with the Fox.
I appreciate a good analogy.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying there.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Allison looks so upset.
I know it's
I'm
coming.
upset seeing mustard in your hair.
yeah,
Dude, it's actually not that bad. It's much better than the mayo.
Not a fan of either.
we should have talked about Jay Briscoe first. All right, let's talk about Jay Briscoe. With mustard in your hair.
Do you want to read the headline, or do we really need to say the headline? Everybody knows what happened.
I think that we should just say some good things.
Yep. So in my background right now, I do have the Jay Briscoe Love and Support the Pew family. I think I said that right? Pew. Yeah. They do have a givesendgo.com. This is officially sponsored by the family. It has been Jim Cornette has posted this up, and also Brian Last. So they have said that this is the official thing for the family. This is for the daughters that are still in the hospital, and the family itself. Right now, they're looking to gain $200,000. So far, they've gained $396. But yeah, if you go on there, you can donate. It's either unanimous or anonymous donors, or you can put your name on there. Just to point out, like some guys, Chris Jericho's already donated $15,000. Matt Jackson donated $10,000. The Steen family, $10,000. A lot of fans have donated, $20, $30. Jim Cornette donated $2,000. Brian Last, $1,500. But it is up there. So if you guys want to go and support the family and support this tragic event, you can go to givesendgo.com/QLove and find that, and I'll put it up. It's on my back TV. But yeah, if you guys want to give, 934 people have given so far. And again, right now the goal is 200,000, and they have done 129,396. So yeah, tragic event. I'm not a Briscoes guy. I don't know a lot about them, so I can't say a ton about them. What I do know, and I've watched in the past 48 hours, their interviews are intense. They're not a WWFE style interview, but they're a very real interview, and they can definitely talk some butts in the seats. They're not your traditional pro wrestling bodies. But if you look at their body of work and what they've done in the ring is absolutely amazing. I have watched their matches with FTR over this past year, and those 3 matches I would say are better than most tag team matches. And again, not being big fans of them or big supporters of them, I would definitely say the stuff I've seen, they're in my top 5 tag teams of all time.
Well, like Bobby mentioned, I unfortunately wasn't too much of an ROH guy, so I wasn't really watching too much Briscoes. I did go to a few ROH shows when Bullet Club was coming into town and they were doing stuff with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I did get a chance to see the Briscoes wrestle at least once or twice. They're fantastic tag team wrestlers, and obviously you think of tag team wrestling, you think of the Briscoes, especially in ROH. I can't say too much, about their in-ring work, but I will say that obviously it's just a terrible tragedy. Like everything's just, it sucks. It's sad. You don't want to see it. You never like to see things like this happen. It's unfortunate. I'm mourning more so the man than I am the wrestler, because I didn't view the wrestler as like that. But yeah, just well wishes and prayers go out to his family, his brother, and all his loved ones. But yeah, reach for the sky.
This was weird for me. It's a weird, like, personal thing. It's just weird because I don't have any kind of personal relationship with Jay. I had an opportunity to meet him a few times. I wouldn't even really consider us acquaintances. You know what I mean? Having the opportunity to meet him and shake his hand, you can tell something from the energy somebody carries as to what kind of person that man was. So in this short amount of time he and I shared space on those few occasions, you could tell he was a genuine person. I asked him a couple questions about their independent dates they were working, and he pretty much just kind of gave me a snarky grin and said, I can't really talk about it, but we're not going to be doing very many more. And then, the Ring of Honor contract got leaked that they had re-signed with Ring of Honor. So, like, he's cool to the core as a person. When it comes to the work ethic of the Briscoes, I'm going to rattle it off because I'm prepared, because I've been a fan for a long time. They're hardcore living, GCW, CZW, like, they were the quintessential hardcore tag team. Jay Briscoe was a 2-time world champion. They had the IWGP tag team champions. They were the Midnight Outlaws. So if you go all the way back to 2002, they were Mark is the youngest one, and he was so young at the point that he couldn't perform, that he had to put a mask on so he could lie about his performance, because the indie shows wouldn't let him work because he wasn't 18. They had a chance to work for WWE but got turned down because they weren't cosmetically pleasing enough, which I think is hilarious, because then they went back to Ring of Honor TV and cut a promo on WWE on the farm in their raggedy t-shirts and farm clothes. Like, everything about these guys were just real. So when it comes to a wrestler that did it right, that was a good guy, that was a good worker, that was a good hand, that was a good father, that didn't have a problem with drugs or alcohol, like, Jay Briscoe was at the top of that list. And they say you don't get good at wrestling until 30. You master it at 40, and we saw how great he was at 38. So to be robbed of the next 10 or 12 years of greatness just makes the world of pro wrestling really sad.
Agreed, man.
Sorry. Well, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I did watch a lot of Briscoes in the ring.
No, I get it, man. I get it. Like, I don't feel the same sentiment that you in connection that you guys do, because you've actually watched them. But like, it's still like just like a sad thing for wrestling in general. Like, he's still young. He's only 8 years older than me. That's crazy.
He's my age. That's another thing. Literally, he and I are separated by like 8 months in age. Jesus. So that would be, I have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old, to put it in perspective. Like, the parallels between him and me, it was a very gut check. It was very eye-opening to see somebody my age with my kid's age, all the similarities. How many times have I been driving down the road in my SUV with my kids in the back seat? It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying.
Jeez.
Do you have anything to throw in, Allison? You've seen the Briscoes work a handful of times. You were at one of the meet and greets, so you've had a chance to meet him as well. What did you think? Like, what are your thoughts about Jay and Mark? specifically Jay, given the situation?
I mean, they were like so nice. Like, you couldn't have asked for like two nicer dudes to like have a meet and greet with. Like, you know, they were kind and funny, and they like actually spoke to you instead of just being like, "Oh, here, let me sign your thing. Here's your picture. Like, get out of my face." You know, they actually like had a conversation, you know, with you. I would step back, but they had a conversation with you, and you know, I've seen them work live 3 times, and the ability that they have to put over like the people that they work with is incredible, because we saw them work with the
Rock and Roll
with
Express.
the Rock and Roll Express. We saw them work with, who was it at Ric Flair's match?
That was the Von Erichs. That
Yeah,
was a
we saw them
fantastic
work-
match.
The Von Erichs, and we saw them work an Impact match. Who were they? The Good Brothers.
Yeah.
You know, so like they were just, you know, amazing to watch. Definitely super sad.
Yeah, they were a multi-generational tag team. Like, they could have worked in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and obviously, you know, what they did. They were one of those tag teams. It's very rare. They're a performing tag team, like 2 performers. I know it's about Jay, but you know, really, you got to tie them both together. They could have worked in most every generation and gotten over.
Was that the last one on your list?
Yep.
All right. I end all of my interviews with 5 random questions that have nothing to do with wrestling, but because we closed with such a somber tone, I'm going to ask you guys each a question. You just rattle something off real quick just to kind of lighten the mood some, because I don't want to end on such a dark note. What's the favorite venue you've ever seen a wrestling show in? Any one of you?
The venue in North Carolina, that was super cool. What was it?
Dalton Arena.
Dalton Arena, super fucking cool.
That's an old JCP arena. That's like wrestling gold. That's a great one.
It was super cool.
Like, unfortunately, I've only been to like Allstate Arena, United Center, and the Now Arena. So between
Oh, darn.
I don't have much to choose from, but I will say that I thought my experience at the United Center when it was a WWE live show was actually pretty solid. It was probably like I enjoyed it a lot more better there, because I got to see like its cage match. Like, seating was so, like it just was so much bigger, and it made me want to have like WWE shows at the United Center just to have more people packed in that venue. So I would say the United Center. Also, it's where the Bulls play, so favoritism.
I've been to the United Center. Bobby, what about you?
Kingsport Civic Auditorium. It's where I cut my teeth with NWA, Smoky Mountain, CWA. But when it comes to the big scale stuff, dude, when you go to WrestleMania, I don't think anything like overcomes a WrestleMania stadium. And especially when I did it in New York for Rock versus Cena 2, it was just phenomenal. The other one, honorable mention, would be Miami Arena. Back in the day, watching WWE superstars, WWF superstars at the time, with a 3-show filming, which was like 4 hours long. And also I got to see the Royal Rumble live, where Hogan won. And of course, the Ultimate Warrior lost the title to Sergeant Slaughter. So Miami Arena, definitely a number 3.
Katie says Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. That would have been awesome. For me, is the Memphis Coliseum. I'm a Tennessee guy, Jerry Lawler. Lots of heritage in that building. So,
Lots of hair matches.
Do what?
Said lots of hair matches.
Yeah. One more before we do our plugs and go home. If you were on a desert island and you got to eat one candy bar forever, what candy bar would it be?
That include chocolate bars.
Yes, chocolate bar, candy bar. What's your go-to candy of choice, I guess?
An apple.
You know what? I feel like you can't go wrong with a classic milk chocolate Hershey's bar.
That's a good pick. That's very, very versatile.
Yeah. I feel like that always hits. I feel like that's one of those classics. Kind of like a Coke. Can't go wrong with a Coke in terms of drink. It's a safe drink.
I mean, I love Coke.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. Like,
You and Tony Khan.
if not that, I'd say a Crunch Bar, because I love me a good Crunch Bar.
Alice, what's your favorite candy chocolate bar?
A Kit Kat. But I will say, Vince, Crunch Bar, super underrated. That what's funny is like Will eats these like Lunchable things, and they
Just
all
put
have
my fucking business out there, woman.
and they all have these little Crunch Bars in them, and he never eats them. So I like come behind him and like eat the fucking Crunch Bar.
She sees.
You know what they say.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll eat those Crunch Bars for you.
You can
I'll
eat my
save them
Crunch
for
Bar
you,
any
Vince.
day, Vince.
There you go. I'll eat your Crunch Bar.
I'm not much of a candy fan, but if I had to rate my candy preference in order, it would probably be Bottle Cap Sweet Tarts, Lemon Heads, Reese's Cups, Hershey's Chocolate Bars. Then you're going to roll into your Mike and Ike's, your Hot Tamales, your Red Hots. You can't go wrong at all with the sleepers of Nerds, the Nerds Clusters, Swedish Fish. But I may or may not have a bowl that's a Tupperware container full of assorted boxes of movie theater candies that I just put in, and I'll just shake it up, and I'll just have assorted candies, and I'll just eat it by the handful.
Will,
Actually,
did you just say you have a bowl?
He has 2 candy bowls.
Speaking of bowls, I changed my Pissed Off for Greatness.
Oh, my
Right
fault.
before we went on air tonight, my bowl fell out of my lap in the garage and shattered into like 50 fucking pieces.
oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. That's what's Pissed Off for Greatness. That's what pissed me off tonight is my bowl shattering into like 50 pieces.
A bowl is a terrible.
Yeah, they'll do it.
Whatchamacallit sounds like a Vince candy bar. That's what Vince calls my candy bar is my whatchamacallit.
You're whatchamacallit.
All right.
Say that a lot.
So somebody in the chat, Easy Eats says, when did this turn into Jerry Springer?
I forgot we were on TikTok. Vince, plug your stuff. Let's go home.
I'll take us home. I would say go ahead and follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you do want to keep up with me on the social medias. Hit the link tree in my bio. It will take you to everything Straight Talk, everything Smackin' Raw, Creation World. Creation World has just started Creation Conversations. It's a daily podcast, Monday through Friday, lunchtime. So join us during your lunch break. The Will Gray covered for me yesterday since I had to work a double in the morning. So thank you, Will. He was on there with Travis. So go ahead and check that out. We talk all
So much fun.
ish.
Yeah.
We also, I also was on the Get Show podcast last night. So I was with Benji Calavera and the very talented Justin Santos of the Get Show podcast, the Heart and Soul of the Get Show podcast. So go ahead and check that out. We talk about winners and losers of the wrestling week and do our sweaty sessions. NBA Wrestling Royal Rumble. So we do NBA players in the Royal Rumble.
Oh,
with
that's
Fantasy
fun.
Bucket. So we did that. If you like basketball, I'm also going to be doing Chicago Bulls Blow It Up podcast this weekend, hopefully, if not early next week with my co-host Bashara. And we will be doing NBA All-Stars predictions, all that good stuff. So check that out. Search up SES Vince in your preferred podcasting feed, and you'll find the Straight Talk podcast. Also, join me tomorrow live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Creation World for the Smackin' Raw podcast.
Te amo,
I think I
Papi.
covered everything.
Te amo.
I think I covered everything.
You can follow Yellow Shoe Guy on TikTok. We're up to 15,000 followers right now, so we're looking to grow. We want to get to that 100,000 mark. Right now, apparently, we have a new gimmick going. So every 10,000 likes during a live chat, we are going to put condiments in my hair. Apparently, so earlier today we put mayonnaise. Now we got mustard, and I guess if we get another 19.9 thousand likes tonight, I guess apparently I'm gonna put ketchup in my hair. Gross. But yeah, you can also follow me on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, and any of those spicy networks. Yellow Shoe Guy. Follow me. Prepare to be possibly insulted, possibly not really happy with me, and possibly smile.
Katie, your plugs are coming. You're on my shout out list. You always are.
Oh, and Katie, don't forget to follow Katie. She is my biggest fan, and I always appreciate her and our interactions. So don't forget to follow Katie, Katie Kins, because we love her and she loves me.
Allison, I think we need to post that we need a new co-host.
Maybe.
Vince, you want a job? No.
I mean, I'm always down to freelance.
Miss Siegel, plug your stuff. Tell everybody that you're going to make a comic this week, you promise.
Listen. Don't do that. Okay. So, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTokies at JustAGirl918. I'm at 547 followers on TikTok. Please get me to 1,000 so that Will and I can go live and we don't have to deal with Bobby with fucking shit in his hair. Like, God bless. My weekly promise of a new comic. It's happening. I've got a lot of free time tomorrow, so we're gonna make it happen.
I'm going to say this out loud before I click the button. I just got an auto mod request. Held a message for a reason. Aggression and hostility. Allow will post it to chat. Katie Kinsey. Fuck off, Bobby. Allowed.
Me and Katie need to do a show together.
No.
Just one time.
I love you guys for being here. Bobby, you press everybody's buttons the wrong way. Vince, it's always a pleasure. For my shout-outs this week, follow Katie Wrestling 13. Follow Katie Kinsey Bebe. She is the Shaman of She Elite. Follow my buddy Matt Ritter, MattRidder, at Smackin It Raw, the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub. Follow Ted, the Hillbilly Hill, at the Hill Truth Podcast. Follow Dad Hat Wrestling, Panda Wrestling Company. Follow Game Changer Wrestling. Follow Off the Top Rope Wrestling. Follow Cage My IQ. Follow all my friends. But now, as we close another episode of Botched, Bots, and Chair Shots, I want to take a minute. Thank you for listening. I remind you to go wherever you do anything on the internet. Like, follow, subscribe, unsubscribe, then subscribe again. Leave a comment telling me how great I am or how terrible Bobby is. Either way, it helps the algorithm and it helps find new listeners. If you're feeling really generous and be one of the VIP people, head over to patreon.com and donate to the Rivet City Radio Podcast Network. You get some fantastic swag. We get some fantastic guests. It's a win-win for the boss bitch, Miss Allison Siegel, for the Papi, Vince Delgado, and Bobby the Yellow Shoe Guy. I am the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.